story for all ages, and my children have departed. Where they went, we went. But I did want to share with you all because it involves some thinking about what we're going to be talking about today. A few years ago, my daughter Orion enjoyed this series of books called Bunjitsu Bunny. I don't know if any of you have encountered it before. Bunjitsu Bunny is this little bunny, Isabel, who is the best Bunjitsu artist in the school. I meant to wear a different dress so I could actually kick. She could kick higher than anyone, she could hit harder than anyone, and she could throw her classmates harder than anyone, but she's fierce. She also knows that to be a Bunjitsu is to know when not to kick and to hit and to throw. It is finding out ways that we can go through our lives without kicking and hitting and throwing. So they called her Bunjitsu Bunny, which is the name of the book. And this is from the first collection that's called Splash. And the story goes like this. There was this, she was with her friend, Isabel was, and they came upon the edge of a stream, and one of them kicked the ball that they were playing with to the far side of the stream, and they had to get it back because otherwise the game was not going to continue. So Cleve was like, I kicked it, I'll go get it. And he hopped onto a stump, and then onto another stump, and then right into the water, and he swam back without having gotten the ball. And then his friend Rahel said, I know how to do this. And he grabbed this vine and he just took a running jump and he swung out into the river and let go and splashed into the water, swam back, leaving the ball on the far side. And then Betsy said, all right. She laid this long stick across the stumps and she bounced very carefully and she made most of the way across, and then she fell and splashed into the water, leaving the ball on the other side. But Isabel, Bunjitsu Bunny, walked to the edge of the stream and jumped in. Splash. Then she got out and she dropped onto the stumps, grabbed the vine, and took off across the remainder of the sticks that were there, got to the other side, and repeated the motion coming all the way back with the ball in her hand. And her friends said, you could have done all that without getting wet. Why did you start by jumping into the water? And she said, well, once I got wet, I didn't have to worry about getting wet anymore. So I could just go forward without fear. And so I leave you with that question of whether or not sometimes the best course of action is to jump into the fear and then go about taking the next steps that you know to be the right one. So I became aware through conversation this morning that actually water communion in this church is not necessarily a standard issue, which you'd think I might have known, but I did not. It is a standard issue in many churches around the country and many Unitarian Universalist churches. There are kind of two liturgical things that UUs claim that are theirs. One of them is water communion, although there is dispute about whether they should call it communion. And one of them is fire communion, which often happens in the spring. So in the fall, often there's water communion. In the spring, there is fire communion. And I find it intriguing. I didn't find it intriguing until I moved to the Atlantic coast. But water communion almost always seems to coincide with hurricane season. And so here we have this opportunity to meditate on water and the meaning of water and what it is as part of our lives, while we're also witnessing the devastation in Puerto Rico and thinking about our friends in Florida who are preparing to batten down the hatches and decide whether or not they will be staying or leaving. It really causes us in our location to think about water in a different way, maybe than even the origin of this ritual asked us to. So we are mindful of the metaphor. And I like to do this in a slightly different way. Sometimes churches will invite people to bring water that is important to them and bring it and we share it all together. But sometimes that can turn into a feeling of I forgot my water at home and I didn't remember what we were supposed to do and I didn't go anywhere interesting, so I might as well not bring anything. And to me, that just feels like we're saying, you know, if you were paying attention to the bulletin, then you get to take part. And if you were not, then sorry, you're out of luck. But I feel as though we have a different opportunity to meditate on water here today. And part of it is to think about what it means, the different kinds of water that enter our lives, how important they are and what they can be. So I have created an altar here that has different forms of water. There's a river. There's a river. I couldn't find one. I mean, I probably could have if I'd really wanted to wade into like Millbrook or something, but I did not. So I have brought us river in the form of these stones. These are river stones now, and so we add river into our collective pot as we think about what it means to be a river, the way in which it has the capacity to do so much. It can carve valleys and canyons. It can radically alter the landscape. A river, just a little bit of water that starts as a thing you can step over. It is a flowing life force, and it is constantly in motion. It is grabbing water from all of the water cycles, and it's cycling through them with this extraordinary fierceness like Banjitsu bunny. It connects communities. Rivers have always been the way that transit and transportation and goods and services have gotten around, and we've able to connect communities through the idea of being near a river. And they swell when it floods, and they dwindle when we're in drought. So I would ask you to repeat as we think about the power of a river, the words that are in your order of service. It says response. These waters, these river waters, give us life. These waters remind us how we might direct our lives. So that's my river here. You can think about where I might have gotten river water, if you happen to know. The next one is rainwater. And I want us to think with rainwater about how much it represents sort of a boom and bust cycle, that we have this way of feeling cleansed by the rain when it comes. It gives us solace and comfort, or it makes us sad sometimes and gray and depressed. It makes things grow. It makes us think about the dances and the prayers that have all been part of what it looks like to bring a river or bring rain from the heavens. This rain was collected from many of the things that I have out in my yard that filled an entire 30-gallon trash bin with rain over the last several days. In a second, I'm going to get you to help me out, okay? We've just had so much. We had such a, well, we were just talking about that. I'll tell you about it later. So we had such a drought-filled summer, and all of the rain came in the last 10 days. So I lost ground soil, and I lost warm clothing several times on Thursday. So as we think about the power of rain, if you would respond, these waters give us life, and these waters remind us how we might direct our lives. Find that, we'll find out. We can think also about the ocean and the waters from the ocean that are here as we pour these in. Vast ideas, vast expanses, meditative but also destructive, powerful and humbling. It can hold so much of what we care to give it. And it is the source even of the air that we breathe, the way that water of the ocean and the dust in the air comes together to provide us with this huge circulating flow of oxygenated air over our planet. It is the same life that is rocked in the ocean cradle of birth and death. These waters give us life. These waters remind us how we might direct our lives. I cheated again, and I went to a pond for a lake, to the Eel Pond by my house. I was thinking about how much saltier our entire water source here is going to turn into if we have all of this estuary or brackish water as a part of what we're doing here. But as I pour that in, I invite us to think about how lakes and ponds in general are emblems of biodiversity and how they They carry with them so much life, and they sustain so much life within them. But they're also the first indicators, some of the first indicators when we are unhealthy, when our life is unhealthy, when we have nitrogen runoff that causes algae blooms, and suddenly we know that we have something that needs to get taken care of. So in the same way that oceans might invite meditation and calm, so too do lakes and ponds, but also we should remember all of the ways in which they are teachers to us. These waters give us life. These waters remind us how we might direct our lives. I also bring water from the well. This came from the tap in the back. We are grateful to receive water from taps. Not everybody has that luxury, and we know that if we look around the world, if we look around our own country, if we look at places that are still, if we look around the communities that are still struggling to receive fresh, clean water when they open their taps instead of having to boil it, not just because a storm came through, but because there is a deep disconnect in the water supply and the interest that the nation pays in how and who should receive that water. These waters give us life. These waters remind us how we might live. And the last I have here to invite us to think about is some salt. Told you it was going to get extra salty. This salt represents the tears that are also a part of the waters of our life. They contain holy rage, and they cleanse us when we need them to, and they have an emotional truth to them. And I always think of the African proverb that says, eat and drink together, talk and laugh together, enjoy life together, but never call it friendship until you have that together. These waters give us life. These waters remind us how we might direct our lives. I invite you now to join with me in singing the hymn, I've Got Peace Like a River, which is number 100. I invite you to stand if you are willing or able. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. Let's skip to the words for number 5. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. So now, as the second part of this ritual, I invite you to come forward and to add in whatever source or sources that you feel are the most holy and present to you today. If it's the actual physical source, if you feel connected to the ocean, then that is what you should pour into our collective. If you are feeling the metaphoric world of the ocean, that would also be appropriate. And you're invited to take part in this ritual. And if you want to remain seated, then you can let me know and I'll come and find you and I will get poured in what you would like to get poured in. And I will do the same for those of you who are online. So if you are able to chat online, or if you would like to unmute at any point and just name what you would like poured in, we can do that for you in this space so that you can take part in this ritual as well. And as you pour in whatever it is that you're pouring in, I invite you to share a single word that gives voice to the state of your soul. And I want you to know that what happens with these waters is that I will, in the grand tradition of Universalists, boil the hell out of it. And then it will become part of how we ritualize other times in our life. We use these waters to do child dedications and other ways of giving out what it looks like to be a mingled community of belonging and oneness. So this time is yours. Yeah, of course. Go ahead. Okay. Orion only wants to follow somebody else. I'm grateful for the water in my practice today. This morning, and we poured it into this one, which is the well, because every morning the well that we go back to is our hut. We have coffee and so we have this community. Yeah, so Dory would like us to add in a river stone. And Bill is asking us to add in an ocean and thinking of the word life.
While we are surrounded by water, our forest is green. From the tap, fear what we're doing and the impact we're having on that water. River, thinking about moving on, continuing your life. Rainwater and hope.
And Casey invites us to think of the cleansing rainwater, which we needed so much this summer. Oh, yeah, but I was just giving based online, but I'm gonna let you do the next, yeah? Just the cleansing rainwater, which we needed so much this summer. Amen to that. I went out this morning collecting water and my feet were wet with the dew and I thought, how could I possibly collect the dew? Yeah. I'm being instructed to put in tears from my youngest with an awareness that sometimes it just takes a little while to figure out how to get past them.
That somehow the community of the ocean is similar to the community of the wood. So that always makes me connected to now.
I'll just repeat that for those online, just in case that Christine was saying that the salinity of the ocean is compared, has a similar salinity to that of the womb. And so she was invoking female energy as she put that in. I want to make sure that everybody who would like to has had a chance to.
Everyone has been posting, on a forum on the vineyard, and I believe it for about 25 years and swore I'd never come back, and then found myself coming back and dragged my desert-born life with me. And today, had a little bit extra time, and we decided to come up Beach Road instead of coming up Simsbury Road, and we talked about how, it's like our favorite road. Calling it from one to ocean. So
Calm and peaceful when they are in their car seats. So the blessing that you offer these waters through your engagement with this ritual helps us to claim them as sacred. And we will preserve this water collected here today for future rites. It is your story and our collective story that these waters then carry with them. And I invite you to think about how you might explore what all of these things mean for you in your life, recognizing that this water is sacred and that it is made sacred by our work and our words here today. Oy. I can't move that because if you do that, you'll delete my script and I can't talk it anymore. I'm gonna move around. So I want to share with you this reading from the Reverend Len Unger entitled River. Orion, I need your assistance, please. You can put your hand right there, but that is as close as you can get it. All right. Everyone knows that you can't step into the same river twice, but really, the moment you submit to the cold and your toes hit the slippery rocks, the river you entered is already gone. The boulders have been there for eons. The minnows dart about the shallows, but roughly speaking, remain. The river itself is nothing but movement, flowing like time in the only direction it can go. It moves without volition, without resistance, blessed by gravity to know where it must go. Your choice is more complicated, but not much. Don't imagine that you are immune to gravity or time. Take your pick. Your options are to stay safe and dry on shore or slip into the current and be carried away.